Welcome to That Winning Videographer podcast. I'm Jase.
I'm Danny.
And today we're talking about branding 101 and why it's absolutely essential that you get it right.
So important.
We're going to try and figure out why.
On this podcast, branding, Jason, branding. What is branding?
Branding is how you are represented to the world. It's the message that you want to give anyone that you would like to potentially work for. Or when people think of you and your business, that's what they think of. A good example of it is Iron Brew. It's fun. It's very Scottish. It plays up to the fact that very orange. Yeah. And people can't really describe what it is, but I mean, you associate this with Scotland. Maybe rightly or wrongly, you associate it with hangovers.
Yeah, used to until they changed the formula. But Coca-Cola is the highest selling drink in pretty much every country in the world apart from Scotland.
This
bad boy right here.
Mm-hmm. So they've done a really good job of branding. But of course, branding is, it's essentially how you are perceived to the world. And it's very important no matter what business you're running. And I think, when I began doing this, I had no idea how deep branding went because I kind of just thought it was a logo.
Yeah. I think that is a common misconception that people just, think that branding is pick a logo, pick a colour scheme, and that's it. Off you go, and you've got a brand. Mm-hmm. But it's not really. Yes, that's part of it, but there's so much more to branding. There's like tone of voice. There's your Instagram is part of that branding and stuff like that as well. In terms of like your shop window. So yeah, I think it's a common misconception that branding is just pick a logo, pick a colour scheme, and that's it. You've got a brand, but branding is way more than just like a logo and colours. You've got the tone of voice that you use when you're speaking on your Instagram or your website. It's your website as well, and it's the content that you put out there that all kind of is this whole cohesive brand that you need to think about. So it's there's like different levels to it that you need to look at. But
yeah,
so on you go.
Well, I was going to say, like, obviously, listening to podcasts and educational stuff, they always say brand is super important. But when was it that you realized that brand was actually important for you?
So I had a really DIY website. It was done on Wix, and there's nothing wrong with it, to be honest. I mean, at that point, if you remember, you and I were actually fighting for top spot in Glasgow in terms of like the SEO and stuff like that.
On your Wix page?
Yeah. We would bounce between first and second in Glasgow. Oh. That's on a Wix site. So, for a self-done Wix site, it wasn't too bad.
You say self-done, you had your copy done, didn't you?
Not that time.
You did that yourself?
Yeah. God knows how I done it.
Danny Rizzo SEO.
I did not I'm not taking SEO clients. I had this DIY website on Wix. It was fine for what it was at the time, but I then realised that I need to do something about the brand. I was starting to get like ashamed to send people to the website. Do you know what I mean?
I can relate to that so much.
I was really ashamed, and to the point where actually I stopped sending clients my website when they would inquire, if they inquired for through email or whatever, and I would go, yep, there's my Instagram or whatever, to look at like the portfolio and stuff like that. I don't know. I wasn't happy with how it looked at the kind of like the films that I was producing at the time. I didn't feel matched with the website and how it looked. So at that point, I decided I need to do something about it, and I did. What about you?
I mean, much the same. Like, I was really embarrassed about my website because it didn't really reflect who I wanted, what I wanted to do at all. I mean, obviously, I changed from going from traditional to what I do now, and going through that discovery, I started kind of doing what I do now, but still having those that traditional website where I had kind of nice fancy calligraphy and kind of the dark kind of golden tones, and I thought, oh yeah, this is luxury. It's not luxury. Like, it's absolutely not. It was a terrible website, and I've gone through so many different website things. I once had it on Yell, where they managed it, and they said they give you a custom portfolio. It was horrendous, like this pink and black. It looked like, remember, like Yahoo Pages used to get, like back in the night. It looked like a Yahoo website, or GeoCities. That's what it was. It was like it was a crap website.
There's so many of those places that are still kicking about. They phone you all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't understand how Yell is still going.
No.
Give up, Yell. No one's interested. No one's clicking on your banner ads. Honestly, I when I started, I genuinely thought it was a logo, it was a color, and that was everything I needed to sort of build. And I would build a website based off this kind of color scheme and a logo, and everything would kind of go from there. And then I remember when I found like a style of film that I wanted to do, and the websites that I was watching them on, they really communicated something clear to me.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what they were about. And I honed into learning about what brand actually meant and stuff. And I wanted to go down the path myself, but I realized I'm terrible at graphic design.
Yeah. I'm
terrible at coming up with all these things myself. So, I mean, like everything, I just threw money at the problem. So
yeah, but I think if you're in the position where you can do that, then you should do that. You pay because we are wedding filmmakers. We're not brand designers. We're not we're not website designers. So you hire in the right person for the right job. And you will get better results than if you do it. Because I know for a fact, like with me, when I was doing the DIY website, I hated every second of it. I hated it. Like it's not something that I enjoy doing. So I done the same. I paid someone for a website, but you don't always have to go with like because some of the crazy prices that you'll get quoted for like branding, I get quoted like 10 grand plus for like branding. I don't even think that had copy, to be honest. So
there's an argument though that that's worth it. I mean, I would definitely say that was worth it for me.
So because how much were you all in?
I was over 8,000 for everything.
Yes.
For branding, logo, assets, website, SEO, website.
So you're because the Afterglow website and the brand now, the branding for it is spot on. It is Afterglow. So in your position, I think yes, because you have a brand that obviously like challenges the norm, and it's completely different from.
Well, they hit the brief because I wanted a brand that was very different, so that when you thought of a specific type of client, you thought of Afterglow.
Yeah.
And I can safely say that's been achieved. There was such a humbling experience I had like a couple of months ago on Facebook, right? A client put on a forum saying they were looking for a specific style. It was very party, very alternative. And it wasn't like just brides that were saying Afterglow. It was other videographers that absolutely knew that my brand spoke to that specific. I was the one that they put forward, which is exactly what it achieved. And if you think about, like, obviously I said £8,000 there, like that's 4 weddings. And if I could book 4 weddings, I can safely say that branding over the years I've had it has paid for itself so easily.
Definitely. I think in my case, I didn't spend as much as that. I think for the website and the copy all in, I think it's probably somewhere in the region of about 3, maybe 3.5-ish, maybe a little bit more. I mean, so it's still a sizable investment. There's no getting away from it. But I think the difference, like that changed my business almost overnight. As soon as the website was changed over, it wasn't even just the web, because I was still getting bookings. It was more, I had the confidence at that point to go, yeah, wait, this is Rizzo Films, and I was happy with it. And I was no longer ashamed.
I think the message there though is that there's not really you don't have to spend this much or that much to get the results you want. No. It's essentially, it goes so much deeper. That's one part of it. The rest of it is up to you and how you portray yourself online. Totally. And, I think everyone who's listened to any sort of education or any podcast about this probably hears To get your brand, you need to know who you are. And everyone's like, well, I film weddings. That's who I am. I film weddings. So who the hell am
Newsflash.
I like football. Can't really do that. Well, I bet you could. I bet you could become the football wedding videographer. But
Sure, you could if you want.
how do you go through this process of figuring out who you are to serve your ideal client?
So, if you do speak to like a branding expert, they kind of like go through this discovery with you of, and it can be quite difficult sometimes because you're essentially just creating like this avatar of who your ideal client is. So they'll ask you stuff, how old is your, your ideal client? What do they do for a job? Where do they go with their friends? What are their interests, kind of thing? And it's quite. It can be a little bit of a taxing scenario to go through, to be honest, because you're obviously like, I have no idea, why are you asking me these daft questions? But then what that does is it lets then the branding expert really see in their mind when they're creating the brand, okay, this has to talk to this person. And I think, for me, I was really looking for couples that were, fun, didn't take themselves too seriously, and really valued video. And yeah, I would say that through the copy and the branding, it hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, my branding team, they asked the kind of same questions. They wanted me to make a Pinterest board of like looks and feels that I liked. But when it came to the question about creating my ideal client, which is like creating your client avatar, like Danny said, it's about the age of them, what they do for a living and stuff like that. It's who you want to serve. The process of figuring that out can be quite daunting for people because they're like, well, I just want people who are engaged, clearly. But it goes deeper. There's a really good way, I think, of figuring this out. If you look back for the last year or two, if you've been kind of unhappy with the kind of range of clients you're getting, there will be 2 or 3 weddings in that pile that you absolutely loved. And if they have any similarities, then you've found who your avatar is. You can actually I heard this once where if you go onto those clients' Facebook pages, you can click onto what they're about and you can see their likes. You can see what their similarities are. Like if they like Prada, if they like, festivals or something like that. You can find these kind of people. And let's say they do like festivals and Prada. Look at Coachella and look at that branding. That's a really good combination of those 2 niches, and you can kind of go, well, this is maybe the style of branding I want to go down, because you're going to speak to clients like that. Coachella wedding films, God. I actually filmed at Coachella last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Coachella was one of the style shoots I did in California, and it was beautiful.
Was it?
Beautiful. I had I
So
had
jealous.
2 girls fighting in a ball pit.
Well,
It was fantastic. I loved it. I was like, wrestle, better. 1, 2, 3, ding, ding, ding. Everyone was like looking, because everyone was like really luxurious, and I'm like going, what the hell are these people doing?
just typical Jason.
Because there was 3 style shoots that day,
Yeah.
and they were all very luxurious, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't get anything from this. And then these 2 were like, yeah, we kind of want that. I'm like, right, get in that ball pit. Punch her. Choke slam.
People's elbow.
Oh, it was amazing. So good.
class.
Then I jumped to the ball pit and broke my ankle.
Did you?
Yeah. I ran into the pit and tripped over a ball. And you can
fancy that
there's a
in a ball
video.
pit.
There's a video of my face going. "Brrr."
At like 100 FPS.
Yes,
Class.
yes,
I need to get
it's
that
amazing.
on screen. Right here.
That's a really good way to figure out who your client who you want to serve. Like, look at your previous weddings and figure out the ones that you loved. And of course, there might be people who are just starting out who may not have served enough weddings. The question for them is, you just need to get some work to figure out what you like. Because I wanted to do the traditional weddings when I started and realized they weren't for me.
Yeah.
I needed to make the mistakes of working for clients that weren't necessarily ideal for me to figure out that they weren't. And then when I did get the clients that were good for me, that's when I honed in on that style.
Yeah.
So it will come to you if you haven't found what you love yet.
Yeah, so it's definitely like a journey as well. Like, it's not just a case of, you're totally right, you need to figure it out over time. You can't, nobody, I don't think anybody would really be able to come in and go, this is who I want to serve, and this is the films I want to make, kind of thing, because it does change over time. Like, my films are similar to what they were when I first started, but they're definitely different. It's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
and obviously like the you know, you get different clients and stuff like that, and the ones that you really like, and just try and kind of double down on speaking directly to those, and figuring out, like you said, what works, and what their interests are. But yeah, it's a it's a really interesting thing, branding. And it's also something that, you know, a lot of people don't really think about putting the time and effort into, because it's more, because I know when I first started, I wasn't really interested in the branding side of things. I was just interested in, like, how do I make better wedding films? Like, how do I get the camera working properly? Or I want to try this kind of shot, and it's not really a priority, and that's, you know, that's totally fine. Going back to it's a journey. Because the brand that you start off with is most definitely not the brand that you'll have in 2-3 years in, because things will evolve over time.
100%.
Especially like if you've got like a DIY website, which is fine. Like some people are way better at doing the DIY websites than others. To be honest, I was not one of those people. It was fine. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I wanted.
I think the difference, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with DIY websites. Some people can get recurring work from that. I think when it comes to the benefits of having a clear brand through your website, the videos you put on social media, and the message that you're just portraying there, is that everyone in the industry will know what you're about. So you will fit a certain type of referral, for example. If you're not necessarily clear about the branding, then you're going to just rely solely on word of mouth. Whereas, as I said before, people in the industry know about my branding. They know about your branding. They know to send us certain clients. And I think having a kind of clear message about what you do, even if you do it yourself, like get your color scheme and stuff, figure out the kind of assets that sort of speak to your client. DIY can take you there, but it's amazing what hiring experts can do for you if you are in the position to go down that path.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's the confidence that it then gives you.
Oh yeah,
to go, you know, this is me.
Yeah, the change from before and after I got my branding was like, well, now I feel comfortable wearing flowery shirts to weddings. Like this is me.
Release the inner Jason to the world.
I played badminton with 4 photographers yesterday, and they all expected me to come wearing a flowery shirt.
And you didn't?
I didn't. I should have.
I will. Have flowery shorts on? I
will now.
Okay.
Like, I'm just gonna lose in a really tight fitted flowery shirt just because that's who I am to the world. I am a performing.
But that's a classic case of just like branding done right. My branding is a little bit different, or a lot different to yours. Mine's is probably more like the kind of like traditional stuff, but it's nice. It's clean, luxurious. And the team done an amazing job with it, especially like because the copy is another thing. So obviously you get the branding expert and you get the copy, you get the website. You get the website sorted. You need copy for that website, and that is also like a really important point, not only just for like SEO, but just so that you're speaking directly to that person. Because I spoke because I am probably by nature more like I don't know, kind of like cheeky, and I kind of wanted to be like a little bit kind of that to come across in the copy, and also that I was warm and approachable, because that is my personality. So I wanted that to kind of come across. And yeah, the John, the guy that done the copy for it, shout out to you, John, has done a fantastic job. And he's helped me out with a few other projects as well, and also the copy for the upcoming website for that Wedding Videographer podcast. So
be surprised if John didn't actually script this entire podcast. That's how much we rely.
He probably should, to be honest. It would probably work out a lot better. SEO would be sorted, but yeah, we'll come back to like copy in another episode, and I think it'd be good to get John on to kind of talk a bit more about that, because it's, you know, we could spend ages talking about it, but that's another point, because your website as well, it's very you know, because you've got like the little questions and stuff like that as well that you're asking on there and stuff, which is quite good to then, because what I would explain that to the listeners that haven't been on your website. But if you haven't, go on it. 'Cause it's brilliant.
So www.afterglowweddings.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage and you'll see this little compatibility quiz where it asks you multiple choice questions based on some interests that I've got, like The Office, Pokemon, things like that. And basically, you'll click. So, what Office character would you want to be best mates with stuff? And what Pokemon would you choose? Just things that generally people who I want to serve like. I mean, not that I'm watching Pokemon all the time, but everyone knows Pokemon, right? Everyone knows that. And you basically click on the questions, and the gimmick is that there's no wrong answer. No matter what happens and what you choose, spoiler alert, you'll have 100% compatibility, which means like you and we need to be working together.
We're vibing.
I can't take credit for that. That was the brand team that came up with that, and
Great
I'm like,
idea.
that's absolutely amazing. And everyone that inquires of me always says, "Oh my god, I loved your quiz. It was so fun." Even though they did it
rigged.
but it's so funny. On the contact page, they say, "By now you've realized that my compatibility quiz is rigged, and you know that we're perfect for each other." So it's a really fun little gimmick, little game. I did say I did want some sort of little game on the page, but they took it to a different level, and it was really good. So that's a really fun little thing that it just kind of adds that kind of fun element to the brand.
Because that is Afterglow. Afterglow is fun.
Yeah.
If you watch the Afterglow films, it's fun. You've generally got a smile from ear to ear like watching it, and it's also fairly fast paced. And
I mean, that's deliberate for branding and video, and this is where I think if you go away from the website, the color, the logo, and stuff, how you can portray what brand you want to be is through the videos that you post online, being very selective over that. I like to post things that make people laugh, make people smile, and generally have upbeat kind of vibes on there, because that's the vibe I want to do. And I think that's something that everyone should be really specific about. If they like a specific type of wedding, they should push to promote content that really speaks to that. So if you like stunning speeches with or weddings that have like loads of luxurious flowers and stuff, like try and focus in on the details and post that out there. There's so many things you could do. Just focus in on what you love.
Well, that kind of brings me on to the next part, which is, because we've talked about, okay, if you've got the funding, go for it, and spend the money because it is worth it. But what about people that maybe don't have the cash flow to go and spend that? Like, what could they do when it comes to branding?
Mm-hmm. Well, step one, you need to kind of let's go back to that color and logo. If you don't think you've got a logo or color scheme that matches your vibe, you need to find out who your customer is. So what we said before is look at weddings you've done in the past, or work until you find weddings that you can figure it out who it is your ideal client is. And then look at what people who are into those kind of things or what their wedding was like would be into. You can either go on their Facebook and find their interests, or you can get an idea based on the kind of vibe that the day was. If it felt luxurious, look at luxurious brands. If it felt more party, look at for me, I looked at Superdry and Vice City. Like those are the kind of things that I liked. Vice City sort of vibes. I really wanted that kind of nostalgic neon party.
Well, you got it.
I got it. So lean into that. So find your ideal client and find branding and a color scheme that kind of works with that. And then moments from their favorite weddings, post that religiously, even if it's not like the highlight of the wedding, right? If you avoid just posting highlights, find moments or edit specific moments that are key to that. So if you like for me, I like dance floor stuff, so I'm dance floor heavy on it. But I also like funny speeches, so I post funny speeches. People who are kind of cocky and confident. Yeah, that's kind of who I'm leaning for. So look through your archive of your wedding content and find clips of bits that you absolutely loved, bits that you want to do more of. If people are into luxurious details, find clips that showcase that and just go heavy on that on your Instagram.
The way I view it is that the grid is also part of my shop window. So I try and make sure that, for instance, that I've not got like the thumbnails are all not like the same. So even though we know like confettis are the confetti shot's like an awesome one to have as a thumbnail, I'll try and not have the confetti shot in every single one, and I'll mix it about. I make sure as well that it's only like wedding related stuff that goes on my grid. So like, I don't have any like pictures of like my vendor meal or something like that on there, like, because that's not what people want to see, especially when they're looking at a wedding filmmaker. They're wanting to see your videos, or maybe like pictures of you, or pictures of, you know, other couples or whatever. So yeah, I feel, or for Rizzo Films anyway, that the grid is also kind of like part of the brand, and I try and kind of keep that quite cohesive with, you know, just wedding related stuff and films.
I have a kind of aesthetic. There's always moments where people are being cheeky or funny or something like that. For example, I had the other day where I tried to collaborate with a planner, and the picture that I'd used didn't match their brand. It was a bride sticking her tongue out, and she's luxurious and I'm not. So it didn't really fit her grids. That's an idea of where someone's caring about their aesthetic, and me going, this is what I would normally choose. I did change it so it's something luxurious now, which is fine. But I'm not necessarily... the grid for me, I think, is... I'm definitely more video-based, so I think people... I'm not really seeing if people are going to scroll through. They're going to go watch one reel, they'll go to another one, so they won't necessarily see my grid.
Unless they're on the page.
But it does kind of match the color aesthetics and stuff like that. I think I kind of go for warm tones. Yeah. That's kind of what I aim for, but it's I think
with you though, you can kind of, with the brand, you can kind of get away with that kind of stuff. I don't know, just for me personally, I kind of just
maybe if you're more luxurious,
I keep it tidy.
If you're more luxurious or traditional, then you maybe need to kind of stick to within the realms of what that is. But I can deliberately get away with it, and that's definitely by design. So it's but yeah, those are kind of my points of what I think. If you don't necessarily have the budget just now, this is the work that you can do to get started in that journey and figure out who it is and what your brand represents.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you don't have to. You can go to like places like Fiverr or whatever as well to that are not quite as expensive as obviously some of the folk that you would pay here. If it's like comes to down to a logo, you can explore that option as well if you're maybe not happy with your logo, and it doesn't have to cost like, you know, thousands of pounds. You can also use somewhat as a starting guideline. You can use ChatGPT to, and I would never recommend just copying and pasting and say, write me copy for my website. I'm a fun videographer based in Glasgow, because Google can now tell when it's just basically being copied and pasted from ChatGPT, but you can use that as almost like a starting reference point and then edit it from there and put it into your own words. So that's something you can do that's free. So there you go. You know, you've potentially got a logo a bit cheaper. You've got your copy that should be okay, and that's been free. And obviously you can then just start to post your content on your Instagram.
I mean, the overall writing benefit of this, if you think about when you go shopping in a shopping centre, you might have a style of clothes. For example, you might always see Adidas and go there.
Yeah.
Because you seem to be wearing Adidas at every podcast that we've got.
Have I?
Yeah, I think you have actually. Yeah.
I like Adidas.
Yeah.
It's a good brand. It's recognisable.
For me, I'm always going to Superdry. The brand speaks to me. And I think that's how a lot of people sort of shop. Now, obviously, we don't have returning customers, or we shouldn't have returning customers.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But I mean, if it does happen, credit to you.
Yeah, there you go.
I've heard of it happening with some people.
I've had inquiries in the past, for sure.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. If people feel an affinity to the brand that you're showcasing, that's going to entice them to get in contact. That's where this whole benefit comes from. You know, if you're targeting a specific person that usually likes luxurious brands or usually likes mountain climbing brands or things like that, and you're speaking to that, they're more than likely going to approach you and think, well, this is the kind of person I want to work with. So that's why it's super important to be focusing in on this. It's not just a case of your logo or your colors. You need to be designing them around the people that you want to serve.
Yeah, and like I said as well, it's the communication between you and clients, and also your tone of voice as well. So like, for instance, with me and yourself, favorite color is orange, and I always put like little orange love hearts
Yeah.
and
I wish I
everything.
thought of that first. Because right now I'm just copying you. But I'm like, because I give purple ones because I've kind of got purple in my branding too. But
Right.
I really wish I had orange hearts.
So, but it's quite funny though, because you can also change. So on Instagram, when you like something, you know, maybe you like a message that you get sent, you can change what that default double tap is. And my default double tap is the little orange love heart. And it's funny because see now when my couples message me, they all use the orange love heart. Like they literally. So I mean, I've got screeds of like basic messages from different couples, and they'll like send me wee love hearts. I've got other suppliers that send me like a wee orange love heart. So that's 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 my thing.
That's good.
But
Isn't it funny when you see branding just work? Like little subliminal things like that.
Yeah.
It goes out into the ether
Yeah.
and yeah.
and generally I quite like a kind of maybe like a kind of darker orange kind of shirt. Nothing like neon orange. Don't worry, but yeah, like just because it's my favorite color, and I like those. I like the shirts. And people obviously also comment on that. And that was a thing that I spoke to the brand designer about. I want orange in here, and she was kind of like, okay, orange. She's like, I'll need to see how we do this, and like a kind of luxury wedding brand. But she'd done it, pulled it off. It's like it's like a hint of orange. That's in the logo. It's like one wee line.
That's what you're getting.
That's what I got. But yeah, I thought that was funny. And do you know, I've only ever been asked by, and it was recently I got asked by somebody who inquired, who said, "Can I just ask what is the deal with like the orange love hearts? I'm just so curious. Like you use them all the time." After obviously like a message, I like the message that you sent out. You're actually the first person to ask, and I was like, nothing more than it's my favorite color. But yeah, and also I think that also like helps like the wee love hearts and stuff like that. It just also helps with the what's the word? The approachability, you know, of me say that, you know, hey, I'm friendly.
Yeah.
I send you orange love hearts.
I mean, you said
works.
that your underline is orange, so it's like a kind of sign of like your underlying personality of visual films is orange. Like,
Yeah, but in orange, if you look at it, is normally it's to do with kind of like fun, outgoing, lively, you know. And there, I did send over the branding person the bit where there was like a luxury bit in there, and I was like, see. So yeah, it was definitely the shade of orange that she went for.
yeah.
Not ironbury orange.
Not ironbury orange.
As much
no.
as I do like that colour.
Yeah, it's fucking vibrant.
Yeah, so vibrant. So it's like it's all those little things that you can do as well that adds to it, like with the brand. You know, you were saying about that wee quiz, and me injecting a little bit of my personality in, obviously with the kind of orange and stuff like that. So it's all those things that you can do that's just more than just, you know, chucking money at it. Which, you know, as we have said, we would always encourage you to do it if you have the budget for it. But you don't have to. You can obviously do a lot of the stuff yourself. That has been our episode today on Branding 101 and why it's so essential. Thank you so much for all your messages so far on the podcast. We're really excited about where we're going with it. Jase and I have been working on it a long time, so thank you so much for all your comments. Remember, you can leave us a voice note and give us some feedback on how we are doing with the podcast. You can leave us that voice note on Instagram. You can also send in some of your questions that we can maybe discuss on the podcast. We can maybe even play them. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And you can also leave us a review. Reviews help massively just to help us get the podcast seen. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in today, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later, guys.